So what's up, fucker?
How the hell are you?
I'm fucking good, bro.
Good.
Fucking good.
Let's crack into these.
Ooh, yeah.
What do you want?
No, let's do the same one you just did.
Ruby grapefruit.
Is that one? That's a mongrel. Ruby grapefruit. Hopefully it's good, because I don't actually like grapefruit.
Oh, you're probably not going to like that then. It tastes like grapefruit.
No, that's okay.
Oh.
That's like a really watered down squirt.
Yeah.
Not the female kind.
Right.
The soda.
Water.
Yeah. You remember those old commercials for squirt? Where like, I can't remember what wrestler it was. He'd like crack it open and drink it like that. Yeah. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I don't know. I love squirt though. You don't like squirt?
No, I do like squirt.
Oh.
Yeah. It's don't a lot of Mexican folks use it with like tequila and shit? Yeah. That's what's up.
Good stuff.
That's what's up. Anyway, you want to talk about David Icke?
David fucking Icke, bro.
My favorite thing about David Icke is that he makes us look totally sane.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for anybody watching that or listening to this that doesn't know who David Icke is, pull your fucking head out of the sand, dude. Wake up. He's like a conspiracy theorist from the UK, right? Mm-hmm. And he's been at this nonsense for fucking decades.
40 years now.
Yeah, 40 years.
Started off as a football player, or as we call it, soccer.
Yeah.
Either way, you know.
Gay.
I would have respected him more if he was like a high alive player. No, I'm just kidding. Soccer's okay. Yeah, and tried his hand at being like a news anchor and a journalist and things like that, until he made like his first real television appearance as himself, where he dressed in a teal tracksuit and claimed he was the son of God.
Yes, he did.
And that the world was going to end that year.
Mm-hmm.
That was like 43 years ago, so...
Yeah, so he...
come out the gate strong with your failures, I guess.
He might as well just like fucking get it all out there. Let everybody know, okay, this is what we're doing now. I see.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess he went to like a psychic or something like that, and the psychic told him that he was this messiah type being that was going to share or bring awareness to the world. And that was kind of his awakening, if you want to call that. And started him on this path of discovery.
That's a strong word. So I'm curious of your take of, before you really delved into it, and I'm sure you had some kind of run-ins with him, what did you think of him?
So my initial kind of introduction to David Icke was during COVID in 2020. We were at work and somebody had told me to watch some video, and it was David Icke talking about the COVID conspiracy, air quotations, which happened to be actually true, somewhat, from what he was saying. And so from there, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy makes a lot of sense. This is what I've been thinking. It's, all this shit isn't real. I mean, whereas he didn't believe the COVID was an actual virus. He thinks he still thinks that COVID isn't real. And it has a lot to do with like the 5G stuff.
Yeah.
At the time, 5G was just coming out, and they were putting up 5G towers, and his sources say that exposure to high 5G frequencies gives you the same symptoms of being sick, like having a cold and And so he was saying that, the people that were having this virus were suffering the effects of the 5G towers that are going up everywhere. And, I believed in the sense that thinking that, everything was being blown out of proportion and COVID was just kind of way over exaggerated. Mm-hmm. And that the vaccines weren't real, like shouldn't be administered in mandatory for sure.
Yeah.
So I kind of delved into his stuff. Like I watched that video and I thought it was really interesting, so I kind of started going down a rabbit hole of him and then started listening to his theories on like the lizard people.
The lizard people. And
at that point I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's fucking cuckoo. And so that's where I kind of left it until we started talking about it again. And now that we've been on this journey of like exploring the ranges of consciousness, his stuff kind of is starting to make sense a little bit now.
Yeah,
I won't say make sense, but I'm understanding it more where he's coming from.
I had the exact same introduction where a couple of people had sent me the videos of him talking about the 5G with COVID, and I didn't even finish that video. I think I got like halfway through it and I was like, this guy is fucking bananas. All right, there's no correlation, come on.
Yeah.
And so since then I had never looked into anything that he said or done, but just like in preparation for this I watched a bunch of clips and things with him, and I'm like, okay, he's absolutely bananas. It's not just the one thing. So one of his primary beliefs is that the Illuminati is trying to destabilize our culture as we know it and our sense of government for a one world government. And COVID was like the stepping stone to start that master plan. And the 5G thing, I can't get past it. It's so stupid to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and all the Illuminati are reptilians. All the like rich and powerful families, they're all reptilians. So like the Soros, oh my God, I always forget his Rockefellers. What's the other two? I had them written down. My notebook's way over there, and I'm too lazy to get it.
Yeah, the force isn't working today. haven't slept well.
I better just get it, because I don't want to butcher it. I actually took notes. Or maybe I didn't take that note in particular. But anyway, the five richest families that...
Pantaveret.
The Gettys, the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
That's it. Scott says that shit all the time. I should have had that, like, in the breach, ready to go. But yeah, he thinks that they're all reptilians and that they're part of the Illuminati trying to establish a one-world government.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. I don't think that's too outlandish, to be totally honest. The reptilian part, I've seen evidence for it, but it's hard for my mind to reach it, in a way.
Yeah, so my understanding of that whole thing is that, we've been going down this whole rabbit hole of consciousness and interdimensional beings. And so his description of these reptilians is that they're kind of an interdimensional being, an alien. Mm-hmm. You could call them, or demons. You could call them, depending on what lens you're viewing this from. And what they do is they feed off of the negative energy of human suffering, almost like Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
like where they feed off of fear
and screams.
That's basically what these reptilian beings, according to him, feed off of. And so everything, in government and stuff, everything is kind of set up to keep us in this loop of control and suffering through dividing, people through religion, borders, country borders, racial differences, so that we're at constant odds with each other, so that it just continually feeds this negative energy that they can feed off of. According to him, he says that all these major families of power and influence are the bloodlines of these people who have been in power for millennia. And it goes back to the Nephilim and the giants, because those bloodlines are believed to be traced all the way through down to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and all these people that are all related and kind of run the world financially.
Financially, yeah, because they own like at least a piece of everything.
Right.
And they're so wealthy that there's no way to actually know what their true wealth is. So they wield so much power and influence.
Yeah.
But it's like, is that possible because they're lizard people, or because that they've just made great financial decisions?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, both of them are possible. The only thing that's kind of if you're believing the conspiracies, is that like all of these people are also involved in these secret organizations, like what is it, the Skull and Bones here in America, and Knights Templars and the
Freemasons.
The Freemasons. What is the grove that all the political people go to?
I know you're talking about, and I can't think of the name right off the top of my head.
Where they worship like this big owl entity that this is like documented thing that almost all the former presidents have gone to this Bohemian Grove and done rituals there that are satanic practices, pretty much.
Yeah. Which, to credit on David Icke, he did do like research on lineage of all the presidents and found that they're all distantly related. Yeah. Except for one or two, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Which I'm kind of curious if Trump falls into that too.
Yeah, kind of. Actually, I don't think he does. I think he is related.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I just listened to one the other day that he was talking about Trump quite a bit and Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, he's got a hate on for Elon Musk.
Yeah.
The spoiled rich kid, whatever. The whole like hate on Elon Musk thing right now is so popular that it's easy for people to latch onto it, but I don't personally see it. I just think he's just a wealthy, smart guy. Yeah.
Definitely think, I don't know, maybe he is the fucking like the ultimate arch nemesis to like Superman, like he's the ultimate supervillain.
He's the real Lex Luthor.
Everybody thinks it's Jeff Bezos, but in actuality, it's fucking Elon Musk.
Dude, I was listening to a podcast years ago, and I think it was the Drinking Bros podcast, and one of those guys, and I'm talking like 7 or 8 years ago, I heard this, where one of the guys was like, I think Elon Musk is going to be the world's first supervillain. Not because he's evil, but because he's like trying to force change, where he's trying to push electric vehicles and the underground tunnel system to run the EVs through and all that, and they just won't listen to him. And so he's finally like gonna snap and, all right, you know what? I'm gonna become a supervillain and I'm gonna destroy all the roads, so you have to do the tunnel system.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Thanos in the Marvel universe thought he was doing it for a good cause. Like, the universe isn't built for exponential expansion of like population, and so just like a lot of these, well, like Bill Gates and these people want to depopulate the world because we don't have the resources to feed and house and fuel the the world with a population of 10 billion people or whatever it is.
But you flip and you look at Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is stating that we have a population crisis where people need to start making babies.
Yeah.
I think about that from time to time, because when we think of overpopulation, we think of a place like LA or New York or India or China, where it's just such a dense population. And we go, we got too many people now. We have too many people in concentrated locations.
Yeah.
How sparse and vast is the actual like open terrain?
Yeah.
And across the world, not just, you know,
That's
here in
even
America.
like in China also. I mean, China has over 1 billion people in China, and most of those people live in certain areas in China. China's huge and has a lot of wide open spaces. Just people don't live there. Just kind of like America. I mean, America's only has 350 million people, maybe 400 million people now. But there's lots of states like Utah, Wyoming, and like everywhere that's kind of wide open.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sparse once you get outside the valley.
Yeah.
Or even some of the northern cities like Layton, Ogden. And then you kind of have your Point of the Mountain area, Lehigh, Orem, all that, where those are population centers. But outside of that, there's really not a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take I-15 south, and you'll see it's that towns are so small and sparsely populated, you go, okay, we all live kind of in the population center of the state. And it's the same with a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, having lived in Missouri, and you'll pass by a town and you'll see the sign population 4,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one town, and then you got to drive another 40 minutes to get to the next one.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have a population crisis. I think we just live too compactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these places are built in places that aren't kind of equipped for supporting that many people. Like Vegas, you take for example, it's in the middle of the desert, and you've got probably 2 million people there. I don't know what the population of Las Vegas is, but it's probably a lot. And they have to have all that water pumped in from somewhere else because it's the fucking middle of the desert.
It's legit a fucking desert.
Yeah.
If Vegas wasn't there, it would just be barren all the way through.
Just like the rest of it is until you driving south, and then you get to like there's nothing, and then Vegas, and then you keep on going, nothing.
Yeah, until you drop into California, but it's still nothing for a while until you get closer to the Inland Empire.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It's probably a good 5 hours out of Vegas into California before you get, like, scenery.
Yeah, like, you pass, like, Victorville and shit, and it's still the fucking desert, but there's a small population. And then you have another hour before you start to actually see, like, life, essentially.
Yeah.
Plus, nobody wants to fucking live out there. It's too hot.
Yeah.
I remember...
I don't want to live there anyway. I'm hot as it is, like in springtime and like 80 degrees. Like, fuck, man. Where's the snow at?
Back where it belongs, somewhere else. Dude, we stopped at Vegas one time, and I got out of the truck, and I was wearing a pair of Chuck Taylors, and I'm standing there in the sun with my feet on the pavement, and like I felt like my shoes were fucking melting. That's how hot it is there. But one of my favorite David Icke theories is that the moon is actually like a big satellite that basically showers the Earth with EMP, creates the electromagnetic soup that keeps the elderly weak so that COVID could kill them.
Yeah. The one thing that I do appreciate about David Icke is his ability to connect the dots to the theories that he wants to get to. And
it's definitely a very biased system.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where he creates some crazy fucking narrative, but then he'll take existing data points and like make them somehow wrap around to that.
Yeah. So I listened to in the past like week and a half probably 25, 26 hours of him talking about his theories. And all the roads somehow just lead back to, and like somebody will ask him a question, and whatever it is, he'll like take this long scenic route to like a road that he recognizes, and then from that road he can take his journey to his point. Like,
it takes some fucking mental gymnastics to follow him.
Yeah.
But and some of them it is very easy to follow, and some of them make sense, like pushing a one world currency, where during COVID times we're told don't use cash because you could potentially transfer the virus via cash to somebody else, but we already kind of don't use cash anyway. Most people don't. And we all know cash is fucking dirty.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what is it, 8 out of 10 bills that you come into contact have traces of cocaine on them.
Mm-hmm.
So we already kind of know that cash is fucking dirty and it's like not clean to handle at all. But just using that to push your narrative, is his way of like steering those data points in line with his theory.
Yeah, and I think part of that was like the drive to get rid of cash, because if you get rid of cash, then everything can be run off of credit, and then credit's way more easy to control people's financials. Like, you can control somebody by their financials if they're just going solely off of credit and not using like actual physical cash, which makes sense. It's kind of where a lot of people are like against the whole digital currency scenario.
Yeah, and I think cash isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Especially, my thought is if you're trying to eliminate cash, it's because mostly you're trying to eliminate tax fraud. Because you think about if you own like a laundromat, a cash-only business, where you're not going to report everything you make. You're going to keep a little bit of it and report less, so you pay less taxes.
Yeah.
And you have more money in your pocket. So I think if the goal is to get rid of cash, it's more because of that than transferring COVID or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of a silly premise to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it would work. I mean, it could possibly work, but that means everybody would have to have like bank accounts and credit scores and shit like that, which a lot of people just are kind of against.
I'm against credit scores anyway.
Yeah.
Did you know credit scores only came about in the 80s?
Really?
Yeah. It's like we think of it as this, forever long thing, but it's really not. So, yeah, I think credit scores are a crock of shit. But yeah, so the moon thing, I have trouble with that one, especially because I've heard so many other different interesting stories about the moon, or bases on the backside of the moon, or Ingo Swann remote viewing the backside of the moon, and just all these crazy theories that it's like David Icke's moon theory is the bottom of the fucking list for me.
Yeah. I did come across was David Icke talking about the Monroe Institute and astral projection and remote viewing. And according to him, a lot of the people that were doing those things would often run into the reptilians beings, and they actually called them the alligators. Like, they would always tell each other while they're going into like a session, watch out for the alligators, watch out for the alligators. And it was kind of a code for the lizard people.
The lizard people. I don't know. The whole lizard people thing, in a way, makes sense to me, because space is essentially infinite, right? Like, we can only measure what NASA says we can only measure 4 or 5% of space, which means there's a lot of space out there. So there has to be life outside of this planet, intelligent, sentient life. So it stands to reason that there would be multiple species, or even interdimensional or extra-dimensional. Fuck, they could be part of this planet naturally. I mean, there's theories about Hollow Earth, and that's where the lizard people live, or that potentially Atlantis was populated by lizard people. So for me, that's a total possibility.
And that's where I kind of thought that, his theory was that these beings are here and are naturally in this physical space that we call Earth, just in a different spectrum that we can't see. And that's why, I'm linking it in my mind to all these things that we've been talking about, like angels, demons, interdimensional beings, aliens, are all just traveling in between these light spectrums that we can't see, and they're able to come across. So part of his theory is that this world, this life, is kind of just a simulation, and reincarnation is real, but it's all ran and kind of controlled by these lizard being entities. And it's a lie that they sell us that we need to keep coming back. We don't actually need to keep on reincarnating, because why would we have to?
Yeah.
So they trick us into thinking that we have to keep on coming back to reach some level to pass into the next realm, when really we don't need to, if we don't want to. But they trick us into thinking that we have to come back and learn more and come back and learn more.
They're like, we need you to come back so that you can work a meaningless job.
Yeah. So his analogy is the Matrix, of course, where Morpheus talks about the computers or the machines turning the human beings into batteries, pretty much. It's the same concept with the lizard people using us for energy, and they just need us to keep coming back to fuel their energy sources.
That's where I can follow his path for so long, and then there's like a hard left turn for me. And where you're calling it like the Matrix, and they need us as fuel source, just, you lost me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be more inclined to buy into the idea that lizard people are actually in control. But then just that hard left turn of, they need us for energy. Like, do they though?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, the way that he talks to people and kind of people ask him questions, and he takes a roundabout curve into his narrative of what he believes is happening. I think that he kind of his theory evolves over time. It's just an ever-encompassing thing of like every part of reality that somebody asks him a question about religion. Okay, yes, religion is involved because it's control.
Yeah.
Separate, divide and conquer, and control. Rich people, the rich people want to divide us and control us because they're lizard people.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the mental gymnastics that you have to use to connect those dots. Where, a lot of the stuff we talk about has more of a flow to it. Like, I could understand, telepathy, because I could put it through my own lens kind of thing. But when I have to put it through his lens, it's like trying to watch a TV while somebody's doing this with it.
Yeah. And changing the channels.
And changing the channels. And then you get stuck on the fuzz a lot because you're just like... And like I said, he makes us seem totally sane. Not that we're outlandish conspiracy theorists. I think you and I are just more in the realm that we need to question things and try to learn a little bit more and understand a little bit more, and maybe theorize in a way that our tiny little minds can perceive it. But with him, it's just, this is what it is, cut and dry, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's not cut and dry or plain and simple at all.
Yeah.
And I also really enjoyed watching some of the videos where people give him resistance about some of his theories. And he maintains his cool, but on the inside, he's throwing a fucking tantrum.
Yeah.
Man, it's fucking hilarious to watch.
Yeah, and he's kind of he's really good actually at like I said, connecting the dots and kind of backpedaling and retracing back to a point of origin that he finds an angle where he can get into back to what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's very good.
Sometimes he takes the scenic route, like all the way through the weeds, and you're just like. So I was watching another thing that had nothing to do with any of this stuff, and it was actually a podcast, and this guy was like worked for the CIA and was trained in like psyops and mental manipulation. And he says the easiest way to do it is start talking to somebody and give them facts and then lies and then facts and then lies and then facts to a point where they're confused, and then end with the fact, and then it all seems true. If you can get them to agree with you, then everything that they just told you is true in your mind.
Makes sense to me.
And so it's kind of like a mental manipulation of his narrative of, some people, it definitely shows that a lot of people that he was talking to on the podcasts and interviews that I was listening to actually believe what he's talking about and are kind of, taking the fucking Kool-Aid and...
Yeah, that was a problem I had where I think I listened to 4 or 5 different podcasts with him as a guest, and almost everybody who's, in these podcasts with him just like unanimously agree. Like they offer no opposition. They, like you said, they just kind of drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Everything he says, they're just like, give me more.
Right.
And not one person is like, hold on. Do you have any facts or proof? And anytime anybody asks him about facts or proof, he's like, it's right here in my book. Like, you could make that shit up and write it down.
That's not... In my book, it says you're a fucking liar.
Mine says...
So look, I just wrote it right now. This guy is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
So if I write in my book that I have a 10-inch dick, do I have a 10-inch dick? That's not how that works.
Like we said, man, if you believe it mentally, you're going to project it physically.
It's true. I'm going to manifest it. Just fucking...
What does David Icke say? What is it? Action goes where intention flows.
I'll buy into that one.
Yeah, if you intend that your penis is going to grow 5 inches over knife...
9.5.
The action is going to go in that direction.
Yeah, it has to grow 9.5 to get 10.
It's pretty good.
Goals are goals, man.
Yeah. It's got it's almost like a nipple down there.
Basically. Yeah, it's an awkward situation. I hate going to get, my hernia checked. Yeah. They're just like... Oh, there it is.
Went to get a Prince Albert and you just charged me for a nipple piercing.
Well, I was going to get a tattoo on my penis that said, "Welcome to America, have a nice day," but due to spatial issues,
says we.
I got 2/3 of a W. And it's only in 12-point font, so everybody got problems, I guess. But yeah, he also believes heavily that the government promotes bad information to suppress his information. He's this huge proponent that his information is being suppressed, which is complete horseshit because he's published, I think, 25 books. He's been on numerous TV shows and podcasts. Who is suppressing you? The big one that I found was that he had a movie called Renegade, and it was supposed to have like a premiere and everything, and an hour before that movie was supposed to premiere, they pulled the movie and they canceled the premiere because whoever was in charge, I guess, like the owner of the theater was like, "Oh, is this a David Icke movie?" And they're like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Cut it." But to me, that's not, the government or the lizard people suppressing you. It's that owner was like, fuck that guy. I'm not playing his movie in my theater.
Yeah.
It's more personal than anything.
Which doesn't make sense. I mean, unless it only sold like 4 tickets.
Yeah, which could very well be. They're like, here's your $12 back. We lost $48 on this movie, but...
yeah, I know that he was, like, in all of his interviews, he's talking about... as soon as he started coming out against COVID, he got kind of shadow banned on YouTube and social media platforms. He's
welcome to the club.
Kicked off of Twitter and X, Twitter at the time. But, dude, we've been shadow banned too.
Yeah, I mean...
Currently.
Maybe we should do like a hashtag reinstate the 9/11 episode. I mean, you can still listen to it. You just can't listen to it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's still there. No, a lot of people went through that during COVID, where if you spoke out against COVID or the methodology that countries were taking to deal with it, whatever, it was on... Most everything was tagged as false information or whatever, misinformation. So like the big tech companies, you know, Facebook, Twitter, all that, like they were shutting down freedom of speech because of people speaking out against COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It just, he took it more personally because he's one of those people who thinks he's always right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fallacies with COVID, and, you know, we've talked about it, and, you know, we still need to kind of do like a full episode, but really a lot of people spoke out against it and spoke out against why a lot of people think it's bullshit or it's not what it's being made out to be, and people would get, you know, their posts taken down or things like that. People in the UK were getting thrown in jail for posting things on social media about being kind of anti-COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like, it ain't just you, buddy. You're just the kookiest of all, and you have the biggest voice of the people who got in trouble, you know?
Yeah. You were just on the biggest platform at the time when it came out and went viral, kind of, I think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you had the most recognition, so they had to squash that.
Yeah, he got a little black eye because of it, but so many other people did, you know? A lot of his thinking about the handling and the situation aligned with so many people at the time that it's just like, yeah, you have this big platform and a big voice, but we're all saying the same shit.
If you look at like the difference between like him and something like Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan kind of got shadow banned during COVID because he was talking about
they tried really hard,
and he just took a different approach. He just went to Spotify, to a platform that it's a Swedish-owned company, and so they don't give a fuck what he says, and
yeah,
and so they let him put out whatever he wanted.
And they paid him a shitload of money.
Yeah. So I mean, he could sit there and cry about it and then not do anything, or just fucking move platforms.
Yeah, I
Take
mean,
your audience with you.
Joe Rogan is such a huge figurehead in the world now, and has been for a while, that people listen to him. But he's also like reasonable, you know, where he's not out here trying to connect the dots to fill his narrative. He's just out here saying, either this is my opinion, or this is what I've researched, or this is my experience, which is so much more respectable than just coming up with nonsense and then trying to make it all fit together.
Yeah.
You know? I think David Icke should go on Joe Rogan, because
I think he's probably scared to go on Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan probably fucking...
he'd roast him, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some of
that Tom DeLonge one was bad. Holy shit.
Fuck, that one was rough. Even the one with Dan Aykroyd was kind of
touchy.
Yeah, it was a little touch and go at times. And there was points where I'm like, God damn it, Joe, leave him alone. He's a Ghostbuster, you know. But then
at the same time, Dan Aykroyd kind of didn't really fucking care what he thought. Like,
no, he just kept going.
Yeah.
Like, these are two people that are not like diametrically opposed, but pretty close to, where everything that Dan Aykroyd says, he 100% believes. Versus Joe Rogan kind of has that questioning mentality of like, sounds like horseshit to me, you know. So it's respectable on both ends, but I think there was times he could have went at it a little bit softer.
Yeah.
Of like, instead of being like, that's fucking bullshit, being like, where did you get this information? Or do you believe this is true? You know, that, anyway. Yeah, that'd be fucking great. You just watch David Icke be a punching bag for Joe Rogan for 3 hours.
Yeah, you have to go through so much. That was my issue, was like trying to do the research on David Icke, like trying to get to the core of his kind of theory. There is a kind of essential core, but there's so much like going on in the atmosphere of his theory that like it's, like I said, it's all encompassing, and you have to be willing to accept all or nothing with him.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
It's very hard. And the fact that he's got a conspiracy theory about fucking everything makes it really hard to believe any one of them, because it's just, everything is so watered down with him.
Yeah.
Where there's never a point in time where he's like, oh, I don't know enough about that to have an opinion, or I haven't delved into that, or whatever. It's just like, the government's getting rid of pennies, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because the lizard people are allergic to copper. You know, he'll come up with something.
That's why they've been taking the copper out of the pennies.
That's why there's no more copper in the water. Like, you know what I mean? He'll just make up whatever about everything, which gives him way less credibility.
Yeah, it's all connected, like the symbolism in the governments around the world, and the secret societies, and the religious heads, and very interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really like, although it's hard to listen to because he goes in so many different directions at the same time, if you can kind of keep track of what he's talking about, it's really interesting to listen to as kind of a bedtime story.
It's definitely something, it's either super entertaining or it annoys the piss out of you. It's one or the other, and never both.
Yeah.
Which is so crazy, because you can listen to somebody like Stephen Greer and you're very entertained, and you go, there's a good amount of this that I believe, and then there's a few things that you go, I don't know. But like everything with David Icke is, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it makes it hard too, and he definitely has that same Stephen Greer kind of almost air of arrogance about him, where he 100% knows that he's right and everybody else is wrong, and that makes it hard for me to listen to anybody when you have that mentality of, I know I'm right, I did the research, I wrote the book, go buy my book, and it's like you got an axe to grind just like everybody else. You're trying to make a buck on this.
Yeah. And
that's always the thing is, you know, somebody will ask him about something, probe him for some information. Oh, go read my book. Like, I'm asking you right now. I don't want to read your stupid fucking book.
And I think that's another thing that's kind of like a detractor. Like you said, like he's in it for, you know, that's his livelihood. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I get it. Like, you've come up with this fantastical tale where, you know, you want the movie deal. But, it takes away from the credibility, kind of like, you know, Luis Elizondo, when he's talking about stuff going on all these podcasts and stuff like that. You know, granted, he has written a book, and but he does all this podcasts and interviews and stuff for free.
Totally for free.
Whereas I think that it seems like most of the podcasts that I was listening to with David Icke, they probably paid him for an hour to sit there with him and talk for an hour on their podcast. Via Skype or whatever.
I think that gives so much more credibility when they don't take money for things.
Exactly.
I get where in Lou Elizondo's place, he's got one book, you know, and I think he's working on another one or something, but he has one book. That's it. Where Ike has 25 books. Now, granted, he's been at it for a lot longer, but it's like when you're the arbiter of fucking conspiracy theories across the board, you're going to put out a shitload of material and water yourself down. Versus Lou Elizondo is, I have this one book and I do these podcasts for free and I answer people's questions to the best of my ability. because it's for the betterment of mankind that we have as much information as possible.
Right.
But he'll also maintain his own integrity. When he's asked about something he doesn't know, he'll say, I don't know, or I can't talk about that because of my clearance, you know. So a guy like him I'll listen to, but a guy like David Icke is, I could ask him about, you know, why do your shoelaces have aglets? And he'll be like, it's a conspiracy from the lizard people. And like, he'll just make some shit up just to be fantastical, you know.
Well, back in the days, we had buckles on our shoes. It was changed the laces because of the copper. Remember the copper
Because
you
of
were
the
talking
copper.
about?
Yes, the copper the lizard people don't like, so we got rid of the copper. Yeah, I do think anybody who does these appearances with these big fantastical stories, when they don't take money for it, like Bob Lazar, when he did Joe Rogan offered to pay him and fly him out and everything, and he refused. He paid for his own travel and his own lodging and everything to go do the show for free. That gives them so much more credibility in my mind of like, I'm just trying to tell the story. I'm not trying to get wealthy. I'm not going to be a bajillionaire off of it. I'm not going to Stephen Greer the piss out of this. I'm just going to go tell my story. That's it, you know.
Yeah, if I had a story like that, I'd probably try to become a bajillionaire. Then I would do all the shit for free after that.
I have actually thought about it just a little bit of like, if I had this big fantastical story, how would I put it out there to the world? And instead of just using everybody else's platform, I think I would just make my own. Fortunately, I've got one, but I don't have a cool story to tell. So
Now we just gotta find the story.
we just got to go out there and like summon some UAPs or some shit, you know?
So, the other night, after I took my walk and I was listening to the binaural beats, Kara and I went and sat on the porch at night and we're kind of just watching the sky, as you do when you're trying to summon UAP.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw two lights, and it looked like satellites, and they were coming like through the sky like this. And I was like, oh, look at those two satellites. That's weird. They're like going right with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they like came like this, and then they stopped and went back the other way and then just disappeared.
Interesting.
So it might have been just satellites that are, you know, going one way and then turning the other way and then turning off the lights. I don't know.
That's asking a lot of a satellite.
Yeah.
To just course correct and go the opposite direction.
So did we summon UAPs? I like to think so, but that was just my experience.
I'm inclined to think you did. I think you used some of that CE5 stuff.
Yeah.
And you were just like light and sound and shit and whoo, fuck.
Yeah, watch out for my book coming out next December. The book deal drops next week.
We're in talks with Paramount to get a movie going. Oh man. Yeah. It's definitely a weird thing when people are trying to make money on it, you know.
Yeah.
But I've said it before, you know, go make your bread like everybody else. Like, I don't expect a person to work like a normal job and then spend all of their free time going to conventions and doing podcasts and all this totally for free. There's a percentage of it that you should be paid.
Yeah. And for David Icke now, I'm not sure how many books he's sold. He has, yeah, like you said, between 20 and 30 different books that he's written. And I would assume his book sales, and they're all self-published, and so he makes all the money off
100% profit.
So, I mean, he probably does okay. I don't think that he's, like, rich or anything, but he definitely, I would think, charges people for his time.
I would think so. I tend to think a person like him is powered just as much by vanity as they are the money. Where, especially when you look at his trajectory, where he was a football player and he didn't quite make it, and then he tried his hand at like journalism and news anchoring, didn't quite make it, and it's almost like a rush to stay in the public eye in a way where you still have people watching you and paying attention to you, so you have to keep coming out with new shit to get people to like make you feel relevant in a way.
Yeah.
The Kardashians have been doing it for fucking ever.
They're pretty good at it too.
They're super good at it.
Maybe David Icke needs a fucking BBL. He'd do better numbers.
He needs to release his sex tape.
Yeah, sex tape. Leak a sex tape.
And I don't think anybody would watch that. He's not an attractive
David Icke and J-Ray. Sex tape. That'd be hot.
That'd be super hot. No, not really. Because he looks like everybody's uncle. He's still holding on to like the mullet style haircut, and he's old and a little overweight. Yeah, I don't think it's going to help his career any.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe.
Hold on now. Unless it's like somebody in a reptile costume just going to town on him, and then he could be like, I was raped by a reptilian. And then, all right, cool.
Prove it. I got you.
I've got the tape. It's just like a poor fucking costume too. It's not even like a dimensional costume. It's just like a fucking sleeve. It just says reptilian on it.
Like one of those fucking plastic masks.
Yeah, like the 80s and 90s. And the dude behind is just like, I can't breathe. The mouth hole's not big enough.
You like that? You like that?
I'm fogging up super bad, dude. I was watching one set of videos where this other guy is talking about David Icke and kind of breaking down some of the psychology behind a lot of his claims and his like methodology for perpetuating these claims. And one thing he said was, no matter what happens, if it comes to fruition that aligns with like David Icke's theory, no matter what it is, he's going to say, I told you so. I predicted that. Even if every step of the way did not align with what he said, if the final result is the same,
that's what I've been saying all along.
I've been telling you this for 40 years. And so the way he phrased it made me laugh so hard. He's like, if the moon was actually like this EMP ray and we found out, he would say, yes, it was me, because I certainly know everything. I-C-K-E. I certainly know everything. And that just stuck with me.
Wow.
So yeah, that was fun.
That's so telling and accurate.
So we're going to have one for ourselves. So BROWN. Bro, really? Own it.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Nudes.
I like it.
That actually fits.
Yeah.
Just a word salad of nothing.
Yeah.
It's like listening to Kamala talk. Just word salad.
Word salad. As long as you can like just throw a bunch of words up into the air and just keep on spouting out words, and then eventually like catch, like I said, like one little thing that will lead you into the direction that you want to go.
Yeah, that's why I threw
back to your.
That's what I put nudes in there for.
At the end, because it's like, bro, really? Oh wow, nudes.
You got me. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I just came up with that.
On the spot, off the rip, dude.
Doctors at work. Doctor.
Yeah, so listening to this stuff, like I said, I mean, everything points back to the reptilian beings, and that's what like really kind of evolves over time, is just the theory of like what these things are. Because at first, like when I first started watching this stuff, it seemed to me like, and it just might be my perception, because of the journey that we've been on in the past year, that he was talking about aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, this shit makes no sense. And then listening to it now, it's like, okay, now I understand what he's talking about, but it still doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give him like 2% credibility on the reptilian thing, because, and I think we've shared a bunch of it back and forth, where you see certain videos and things like that that make you question whether or not they're actually real. Like, do you remember the video of there was like a party in Russia with all these politicians and famous people, and the lights go out and you see all the glowing eyes, or videos of celebrities like kind of geeking out or readjusting their face and things like that, and you go, fuck, man, there's a possibility.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to try to give him a little bit of credibility on some things, because there are some things that he talks about that I'm like, there's a possibility. And then other things I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
The moon EMP thing, 100% don't buy into that. But the reptilian thing, I'm kind of like, maybe.
Yeah.
I've seen enough to make me question it.
Yeah, and his explanation for it is that how we've talked about multiple times, you know, that our perception to see the visible light and, you know, experience the reality as we do is a very small spectrum of light, or small spectrum of what is actually surrounding us at all times. Like, for me, to this camera right here, from my perception, is empty space from here to there. But in reality, it's not empty. It's full of, you know, all types of things. I just can't perceive them because I don't have the physical capability of doing so. So these things are around us all the time, and we just can't see them. And they're just waiting for us to give them the opportunity. And these celebrities that go and kind of sell their souls to the Illuminati are kind of taken over by these entities that use them to feed off of people in big arenas, like, you know, a concert or whatever they're doing. And, you know, that's kind of his whole spiel. You
know, there's some celebrities that I 100% believe have sold their soul to someone or some entity to stay popular and relevant and everything. And my reason for that is, when you see the content they put out and you go, there's no way people are actually paying for this. Like, you remember that video of Katy Perry on stage and her eyes like geeking out? I believe she sold her soul because her music fucking sucks. And she is so cringy.
Yeah, I mean, most of the... I don't even know anybody that listens to fucking shit on the radio.
No. Maybe young kids do, but it's probably more like what Spotify shows them that they might like, kind of thing. But I almost get like upset if I get into my vehicle and the radio is on. Like, no, Spotify.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to... I'm well past the age of like where I had to pay my dues of listening to 9 minutes of ads to get 3 songs that have been popular for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, nobody listens to the radio because the radio fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I just don't know where... I mean, I can't even name one Taylor Swift song. I mean, it's just not in my fucking vocabulary to listen to her music, but like, I'm sure people do. I guess they do.
Well, Taylor Swift for sure. There's a very specific demographic of young women who like Taylor Swift. But it's crazy because I don't know any female over the age of 30 that really enjoys Taylor Swift. But all, you know, adolescent women and you know, early 20s kind of women enjoy that. But Katy Perry, though, like, her music sucks. Everything she does is super cringe. I'm kind of like, people are actually still paying to see her or paying for her music? She definitely sold her soul.
Illuminati. They got everybody.
I mean, they didn't get Kanye. Have you seen him now? He's like more unhinged than ever. Rocking this big swastika fucking necklace.
Really?
Yeah, there was like a picture of him in like downtown Beverly Hills or whatever on the corner wearing a shirt with a big swastika on it. Just, that guy's unhinged.
Like a Nazi swastika?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not like the, I think it comes from Hindu or whatever. That swastika? No, it's the Nazi one.
Yeah, the swastika's been a symbol around that area in India and Indonesia for like 10,000 years.
Yeah, it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
But it's never going to make a resurgence.
Yeah, no.
It was used in the wrong way.
Yeah, the swastika's done, so you can't do the mustache. You can't bring that back. Like, beards came back, mustaches came back, but not that one.
Not that one.
Yeah.
I mean, to credit, it looks stupid. And I don't think anybody could pull it off.
Was that just, I mean, Charlie Chaplin had the same mustache, right? And that was kind of like, but he was like a comedian.
Yeah.
And was that like an actual popular mustache style?
I would like to think so, but considering you can only think of those two people as ever having it.
Yeah.
Like, was it, or was it something else? Were they both part of the Illuminati?
Maybe
that was like their initiation. They're like, you could be part of the team, but you're on probation, and during probation, you have to wear this stupid fucking mustache.
Most people just get fucked in the ass, but no, we're going to make you wear this mustache.
Or, you know, get jumped in, you know, or have to drink the Kool-Aid or whatever. But it's like, you guys got to deal with the worst one. It's the mustache. Maybe there's like a fishbowl of like probation shit, you know, hazing.
Yeah.
And you're just
hazing
like,
rituals.
Please not the mustache. Fuck!
Actually, I'm just going to be a regular person. I don't want to be famous anymore.
Isn't it weird how most people don't resign themselves to that? Of like, I just don't want to be famous. I don't want to be part of it.
You mean they don't?
Well, like a lot of celebrities and things like that, you know, when their relevancy starts to drop, instead of just being like, okay, I had my 15 minutes, I'm going to just go be normal.
Yeah.
They just keep like clinging on to the attention.
Yeah.
And try reinventions and, you know, or try some radical weird shit.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do at that point? Like, especially if you were like super famous for a while and you're making pretty fucking great money and you start living that lifestyle of having that much money, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and then you just go like get a job at Target or something, or what?
Well, I mean, you would hope that people had, you know, people in that position had the wherewithal to actually invest money or have some kind of regular income system. And, you know, a lot of actors and musicians get residuals that they can actually live off of.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't because they're more addicted to the fame and the attention. I mean, Mickey Rourke hasn't been fucking relevant in 20 years, but he's still trying.
Yeah. It's like there's some actors like what's her name from Harry Potter that are just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that anymore, kind of.
Oh, Emma Watson?
Go to school.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them that do go to school, they go to school and then they go right back into acting. And it's like, dude, I would take the money and run.
Yeah.
Personally. But that's looking at it through a different lens of like, I don't want to have to worry about bills anymore, but I don't want that lifestyle of no anonymity in life where you can't walk down the street and just be left alone.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Me neither. I mean, I have a hard enough time even going to fucking 7-Eleven without asking for autographs for fucking DJ Khaled and shit. Some lady, I was at 7-Eleven right over here, and she was asking me, like, what I'm doing in town, and, like, telling me that her daughter does music, and I need to come and listen to her music. And, like, I'm not DJ Khaled. I don't want to listen to your daughter's shitty music. Even if I was DJ Khaled, I especially wouldn't want to listen to her music.
Dude, next time somebody says it, be like, bro, I'm not DJ Khaled, but I am a world-class podcaster.
Yeah.
I mean, I have trouble with that, where I walk down the street and people are like, Dave-inci! I get it.
You're like fucking slapping people away and shit.
Yeah, I mean, did you see all the women outside just like waiting for me to walk out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barely made it to the door.
Yeah,
You should just walk around with the fucking Sharpie and just signing people's shirts as you walk by them.
Yeah. Just
like, dude, what the fuck?
Just signing tits everywhere I go.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
What was that Nick Swartzen comedy bit? Was it Nick Swartzen? I think it is. He's like, my grandma thinks I'm way more famous than I really am. She always wants me to sign her tits. Takes me a really long time, though, because I use a pencil. That just popped into my mind. Thought I'd share it. You're welcome.
That's gross.
It's a mechanical pencil, too, so it breaks a lot. Yeah. Anyway.
Damn it, gotta start over.
Anyway, David Icke, what is your perception now compared to when you first saw him? Like, is there kind of an equal through line of, I thought he was mostly full of shit then and it's the same now, or do you have a little bit more or less believability?
I think I understand what he's talking about a little bit more. And I think that he has a little bit more believability in my mind just because of all the shit that we've been talking about for the last year. I'm not saying that I believe him 100%, but like some of the things that he talks about make sense in the realm of, or the spectrum of what we've discussed in past episodes. So I can't discount everything he says, but like how he ties it all back to this theory of the lizard people, I just don't buy.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think my level of believability with him is pretty much the same. But yeah, I mean, in the past, year and a half that we've been doing this, or even, in the stuff that we've talked about before we started doing this, where, theories are abound and, we talk about really fringe things or outlandish things, where I try to give him a little bit more credibility because he's at least tackling it where a lot of people are just, nope, doesn't exist, kind of thing. So I want to like him more than I do, but then he opens his mouth and he just proves me right, that he's largely full of shit.
The thing that I've had to do for a lot of the stuff that we talk about is kind of start going down a rabbit hole of like what it is we're talking about, and just to keep my sanity for myself, have to watch like 3 or 4 opposing videos. Like
I do the exact same,
and it's kind of to keep that balance of like, if I just keep on pushing this narrative of this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm looking at, okay, now I'm heading in that same direction, and I don't want to do that. So it's like I have to go down and see where this is heading, and then take an alternate view of it, and be like, oh yeah, wait a minute, that looks fucking, that's retarded.
That's a total Monet.
Yeah.
No, I do the same thing when I am researching something, is because I want to have as much unbiased knowledge as possible, but I still want to formulate my own opinion, but I need to see the opposition to understand that I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the healthiest way to look at any one of these things, where you're going to intrinsically believe certain things, but you have to be able to accept within yourself, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're not willing to at least pursue the avenue that I could be wrong, then you're 100% going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Plus, I think a person's personality and the way they convey their message or what they want to say says a lot. So if you're just like a diehard, no matter what, I'm right and everybody else is wrong kind of thing, it makes people insufferable to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about flat earthers, and you can't help but think they're all fucking stupid, right? Not just because of science, but just the way they portray their opinion. Nope, the earth is flat. There's no way there's a curvature, period, end of story. And so I definitely want to do the opposite of that and be realistic in a point to where I need to understand it from different points of view instead of just, nope, my way is right, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you're a flat earther, read a book, do something.
Or look at the moon. I don't know.
Maybe stop smoking crack.
Or start. I don't know.
Just do anything besides argue about if the earth is fucking flat, okay?
Get off the internet, take a walk, look around.
I'm sorry, of all the conspiracy theories, all of them, flat earth is the one that I will never give credence to.
Yeah.
It's so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
That'd probably be David Icke's next thing. The earth is actually flat. It doesn't support reptilian life if it's spherical.
Well, yeah. According to him, in my understanding, the Earth actually doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
It's all just a simulation, anyways.
I buy that more than flat earth.
Where yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of his theory that I can. Again, like, he covers so much ground that it's almost hard to keep up with what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I think he does that on purpose, just to,
throw you off the scent.
Confusion, just to run his psyop, mental psyop with people. But he puts out, I mean, he's gone through a lot of information, and he's good at, like, putting it together. I just don't agree with his conclusions.
It's funny you say psyop, because it just made me come up with a conspiracy theory on the spot. What if all these people like David Icke and Stephen Greer and the numerous amount of people who believe in conspiracy theories, what if that is the psyop to see who is a dissident and doesn't have a place in the future society? The reptilians just like put him up to talking all this shit to see who's going to buy into it. And then be like, okay, when we do the purge, we got to get rid of these people.
Yeah, we got to cut out the cancer here.
Yeah. The think for yourself people, we got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Solved it. Doctor?
I think this one's done, dude. Put a pin in her.
So there's one David Icke theory that we kind of glanced off of that I think we got to go back to is the rituals. When you talked about going to the Grove and doing these rituals, where I was watching a video where he was talking about Eyes Wide Shut, the Tom Cruise movie, where they're doing like the blood ritual with the naked women and all that, and there's some credibility there because of everything that I've looked into with like Pizzagate and pedophile rings and all that, which he's a huge proponent that the reptilians are pedophiles.
Yeah.
So...
Well, he was kind of like... He was talking about adrenochrome 10 years ago.
Yeah, before it was kind of in the zeitgeist of conspiracy theories, he brought it up.
Yeah.
Which I'm still kind of on the fence about, but at the same time, I believe it.
Yeah. So people, I mean, if anybody's listening to this, if you don't know what adrenochrome is, look it fucking up. But it's like, supposedly people do these satanic rituals, and the ritual is performed to, like, you have a person that you're going to sacrifice. But before you sacrifice this person, you have to get them to a point where they're so terrified, their adrenaline is running, they're super terrified of what's going on, then you kill them, and in their blood there's so much adrenaline it creates this chemical called adrenochrome, which then the people drink and pretty much get high off of this chemical reaction in your blood. I don't know if that's an actual thing, that's just the theory.
I started going on a deep dive on it a while back, and from what I understand, and I could have totally misread it, is adrenochrome is a real thing, but it's not produced in a heavy dosage enough to actually do anything. I really need to go back down that rabbit hole, because I think at the time I was like super interested in it, and then I was like, ooh, squirrel.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently there's like a quote from Mark Zuckerberg talking about taking adrenochrome and shit, and I'm like, could it be? Could it not be? I don't know. But
why would a fucking robot need to take adrenochrome?
Because I need to.
Everybody like me on Facebook.
Which, I gotta say, I was pretty surprised at that Joe Rogan episode he did where he talked about the politicians kind of bullying Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg into targeting people for misinformation, especially during COVID times and during elections. And he admitted it, and I was like, what the fuck is... The world just flipped. What's happening? Anyway. But yeah, I do give credence to the idea that there are rituals happening in the upper echelons of society. And the way he talks about the way Kubrick filmed that scene, like the satanic ritual, whatever scene, I've never seen the movie, but the way he filmed that was really accurate, you know, with the robes and the colors they were using and all the naked women and all that. And it's like, how do you know that? But yeah, that was one that I was like, okay, I'm with you on this to a certain degree.
Yeah. And he goes into saying that, you know, Stanley Kubrick, that directed the movie, died shortly after the movie was made of heart complications, which is a kind of a known tactic of in the conspiracy world of the government to get rid of somebody that they want to get rid of pretty easily, is just to give them a heart attack.
Well, they have that super heart attack gun.
They have the heart attack gun, which they came out and said that they have, and the CIA came out and said they had that in the 1950s or whatever. And shortly after he died, so he died like right after the movie came out, and then shortly after that the movie was edited and cut out like 17 minutes of the movie or something like that, which I don't know what 17 minutes they were, and who knows what it shows in those 17 minutes. I don't know.
It's probably 17 minutes of Tom Cruise trying to get his inserts into his shoes to look taller. Like, God damn it!
I don't know. I'd watch 17 minutes of Ben Stiller doing a fucking impersonation of Tom Cruise, trying to put his inserts in. That'd be great.
Like that thing for the MTV Movie Awards when Mission Impossible 2 was coming out, and Ben Stiller was like the stunt double.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we finish each other's sandwiches.
Sandwiches. Yeah, that was fucking gold. You know, it's kind of a weird conspiracy in and of itself with Kubrick, because of not only that, but with everybody who alleges that the moon landing was fake, but it was directed by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're like, fuck, he knows too much.
Yeah.
We got to take him out. Heart attack gun.
Heart attack gun. Get him. Yeah, I mean, which of course, I mean, I think that they came out and said that they talked to Stanley Kubrick about like filming something like that for like, because it was going to be aired on TV. So you'd want to get somebody's advice that knows about filming.
Yeah.
But there was also a thing that there was put out a video of Kubrick talking about how it was all shot on this backstage or whatever, but that was fake. It was like a guy that looked like him that was paid to say these things, and they recorded him saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, David Icke is definitely an interesting guy. He believes in what he's talking about, I think, wholeheartedly, to the point that's like, it's probably all he ever talks about with everybody all the time.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine being at like a dinner party with him.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, hey, David, I haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing? Oh, great. I just published another book on a conspiracy theory of, how reptilians want to take all the men's buttholes, or, and you're like, all right, cool. I'm glad I said hi.
Yeah. If anybody's listening to this and wants to like really go down the rabbit hole of David Icke, look up on YouTube an interview with David Icke and Billy Carson. That one is good.
I don't think I came across that one.
Yeah.
And now oh man, Billy Carson. He's such an interesting character in and of himself.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm watching that tonight.
Yeah, it's Billy Carson. I think it's his podcast that he was talking to David Icke. Which, I mean, they were just fucking feeding each other. It was like a fucking shit smorgasbord.
It's just conspiracy buffet.
Yeah.
Just, here, take a bite of this.
Yeah. Oh, this tastes good. Why don't you try this?
Oh, God. I don't know if I want to watch it.
I mean, it's like fucking 3 hours long.
Holy shit.
Maybe 2.5, but... And he talks about all the same shit anyways, but...
Yeah, I mean, we had kind of talked about Billy Carson fairly recently, and you made mention to that podcast he did where he was kind of getting owned to the point where he went to the guy's house at like 2 a.m. and was like, don't post it. I haven't finished it, but I got about halfway through it. And up to that point, I really liked Billy Carson. Because no matter what he was talking about, you believed that he believed it.
Yeah.
But he did, in that podcast, he does this thing that I find so fucking annoying that people do. It's when somebody says something and he pulls out his phone and tries to research it to dispel it on the spot. I hate that so much. It pisses me off on a very special level.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't like to pull out my phone and do that when I'm talking to someone. I'll use ChatGPT to, back me up on things, but I won't scroll through and try to find it.
Yeah. I think there's limitations to it.
Yeah.
To where it's like at a certain point it's okay, we're trying to come to the same conclusion, and then there's like the point of I have to prove you wrong. Mm-hmm. That's where I draw the line of like, that's fucking rude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really hard to listen to.
Yeah, that's another thing that like David Icke talks about is the march towards AI and
Nope, not true.
and human and technology interface merging.
I'm with him on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to give more control, like everything else leads back to the control of the lizard people. Then they can control your thoughts and just keep you in a constant state of fear and just feed.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem I have with that overlying theory of it's all about the lizard people, it's why haven't they done it? Why haven't they enacted, a full-on plan? Whether it's a Project Bluebeam or a mind control device or COVID wasn't powerful enough, COVID-19 wasn't strong enough, we need COVID-20, and let's get it done. It kind of seems like the iron was hot many times, but nobody struck.
Yeah, well, I think that, to my understanding, the theory is that they just want to keep it running, keep this buffet running, and so they don't want an end to it, so they just want to like continually divide and keep everybody at odds, and then one group starts getting big, and then you have to divide that one, and then so it's like constant growing and dividing, and to keep the machine being fed.
Yeah, I get that, and there's credibility to it, you know, especially when you talk about, you know, one group of people gets too big, so you kind of have to flip-flop, and we see that all the time, especially within politics,
Yeah.
where like the Democratic Party gets really big, and then they kind of just fail, and then it flips to the other side, and then the Republicans get too big, and then the bubble burst on them, and the pendulum always swings, you know, back and forth. But at the same time, it's kind of like you could get all the same results, you know, if you're feeding on discontent and negativity, you would do better almost imprisoning everybody in a way. You know, if you kind of had trying to think of a good like metaphor for it, if you had kind of a dystopian society where you had to fight for everything, food and shelter and water, and you couldn't go against the rules or whatever, you would get 100% feedback on it.
Yeah, but I'm not arguing his side, but this is what his theory is.
Are you a reptilian?
Is that no, but that's what a reptilian would say. So part of it is the reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, if you were, I mean, technically, we are all enslaved anyways. We just don't think about it the way like that. Like, we're slaves to the economy, we're slaves to paying rent, we're slaves to, you know, making money and being part of the system. We're slaves here in this life, and we just think about it as being free, but we're really not. Like,
Yeah.
and so, but that's part of it, is like, you have to keep people on this wheel, turning the wheel, instead of like realizing, oh shit, I can just step off of this wheel and fuck that, I'll just go do something else.
Yeah.
And so the reptilians want to keep us in this wheel of reincarnation, coming back, and so they create these mystical things like religions and godheads and, you know, ascension, the idea of ascension, so that when you die, you go back and look through your life and say, okay, I learned these things, I could have done better, okay, I'll go back and try again. And so that's the thing, is they want the souls to keep on coming back, instead of like, once you leave this existence, going off and fucking off and doing something else somewhere else. They want you to keep on returning to the system to feed the wheel and keep the wheel turning, which is, you know, I mean, does it make sense? Yes, kind of.
That's the problem I think I have, is that it makes too much sense. That it's too easy.
Yeah.
Instead of just accepting that humans are chaotic and that life is stranger than fiction and everybody's in it for themselves, you know.
Yeah.
Because that's my understanding of it. But then you give me this narrative of like, there is a directive, there is a motive, there are reasons for everything. So that, I think that's just my own personal confliction of like trying to justify what I understand about nature and life versus this formatted version of this is how it really is, you know. And I just can't settle the two, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, in either way you look at it, it's kind of like anything in your life is just a series of possibilities, right?
Yeah.
Anything that you do, like I'm going to go eat a sandwich, the probability of that is, you know, probably 50% because it's getting to be lunchtime and you probably want to eat lunch, and so what are you going to do? Well, I'll go make a sandwich. There's a higher probability of that than me saying, okay, I'm hungry right now, I'm going to go kill that rabbit that I saw outside and fucking skin it and make it, cook it for dinner. There's a higher probability, so everything has probability, so it's like the simulation is run off of this feed of probabilities, whether you think you're making that choice yourself, or it's just you're just choosing from these possibilities that are already put in front of you. It's all part of the simulation.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that it is based on a probability factor, which makes you kind of go like, I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing.
So maybe I should go eat that rabbit.
Or I should just go kick down the neighbor's door and eat the sandwich they just made.
Yeah.
Didn't see that one coming, did you, fucker?
Yeah.
All right, so final thought. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not full of shit and 10 being completely full of shit, where do you put him?
I would have to say 5 because, like I said, so I can't say that he's completely full of shit because it's like 2 truths and a lie. So it's like a lot of the things that he says are true and possible, but the outcome is a lie.
That's fair.
So it's like I'll go halfway because a lot of the things that he says I agree with, like I think are possibilities, but like the end, like I take it so far and then we veer off and he goes that way and I go this way. Like,
yeah.
So I would say 5.
I'm going to go with 6 because it's the same thing, but just the fact that he's so convinced about everything that he believes and that he has such a broad spectrum on everything, which, not to say that's a bad thing, we do too, but we come at it from a different perspective.
And we're doctors.
And we're actual doctors, and he's not.
Doctor.
So yeah, I'm going to go with 6 because I think there is validity, but I think he himself doesn't sell it correctly. There's no room for opposition.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 6.
That's solid.
Solid. Let's pull it on that one.
That's another one, yeah.
I think we covered everything with him. And
yeah, I mean, definitely if anybody's watching this and is like totally lost on what we're talking about, just look up David Icke.
Icke.
Listen to a few of his, maybe 1 or 2, because there's a few different ones that he talks about that are like different. They all point to the same thing, but and then just tell us what you think about it.
Share your opinions, man. Engage.
Tell us if we're full of shit that he's full of shit.
Well, I know I'm full of shit.
Oh, yeah.
So
I mean, we claim that.
I own that shit like a badge.
We're doctors of bullshit.
Yeah, we're doctors of theorizing.
Yeah.
But we're fair.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
As people might say.
People might say that. But yeah, I think we covered it. I think we got it. Doctor?
Doctor.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.